My husband, 24M, told me, 24F, he's no longer in love with me. Can our relationship be saved? My husband, 24 male, and I, 24 female, have been together 4 years, married for 2. There has been a lot of contention in the relationship. He has cheated. I chose to stay but made him miserable for what he chose to do. It seems like we're always at odds, can never completely be happy. For months we've been throwing around the idea of separating but decided to try to make it work for the sake of love and our child. Last night we were arguing and I asked him to tell me a hard truth. He admitted to loving me but he's no longer in love with me. After some reflection I feel the same way. I just don't want to lose my family. Can our relationship be saved? Too long did not read. My husband says he's not in love with me anymore. He cheated on you and you took him back with the expressed purpose of making him miserable for it. If you look at it honestly, you'll realize there's no love from either one of you. Before there's more resentment and animosity, it may be time to just call it. At 24 years old, Jesus, you both have so much time to move on and do better. He's cheated, you're resentful and neither of you are in love. You're staying together for a child that would likely be better off having 2 independently happy parents than 2 who are miserable and living under the same roof. Why don't you try a period of separation and then decide? Sounds like there is nothing to save and you should both look at becoming good co-parents. Divorce and co-parent. You'll figure it out and it'll be more healthy for your child than a loveless marriage. Move on. Not worth saving. Divorce now while you still like each other. It will get so much worse if you let this go on. I am sure your child would rather have 2 parents who get along and can co-parent well than 2 parents who hate each other and has to be the go-between because you can't even talk to each other. One way they can still learn what it means to have healthy relationships with the other, they learn that they never want to get married or have kids because they would hate to ever have to be like you two. Although still totally fine if they never want to get married or have kids for the right reasons. Boyfriend, 25M, made comment about autistic brother, 22M, break up? Me, 20F, and my partner, 25M, have been together for a year and a lot of his ongoing comments can sometimes be very shocking on a lot of things. For the majority of our relationship I stayed at his place, around 7 months. And slowly I began to come back to my parents as the relationship began to break down a bit. He began to only come to mine every so often when I felt comfortable. He's met my parents and very talkative with them, however not so much my brother. My brother is an adult living with autism. He is an introvert and can struggle with being super expressive and talkative. We was walking, me and my partner, and we had come into a convo about how I never go to his anymore, and I said well I like being at mine since we spent majority of year at yours, and questioned if he would spend 7 months at mine. He then mentioned his 3 sisters and if I would live with his family. I said of course, he lives on his own. However, he then went on to say, if my sisters acted the way your brother acts, would you stay with me for 7 months? No, you wouldn't. In my response I was in shock, and in my opinion that is him basically saying my brother's autism character makes him uncomfortable or hesitant. Or that my brother's weird or something. My brother's never done bad, they've only met a few times, my brother's just very shy. My partner gaslight me, told me, crying about it isn't going to help, but in my opinion that was out of order. Should I break up with him? I feel like I can't get over this. I don't know how you can really come back from that one. He insulted your brother, then told you that crying about it isn't going to help. Kind of sounds like your boyfriend just revealed to you how much of an asshole he is going to be. Be with someone who loves your family and treats you well. Your boyfriend sounds like an intolerant jerk with no empathy. People like that are not good partners. If the word acted is correct, then he seems to be of the opinion that your brother is acting, i.e. not being genuine, could be more normal, etc. And that he wouldn't put up with it, or be around it, and that you are pretending that you are okay with it. I would suggest he has a lack of empathy and understanding deep in his soul. You deserve better. Your gut already knows the answer and you just want us to give you permission to make the choice you know you need to make. You have my permission. Your boyfriend sounds like he sucks, to be honest. I am old, lol, in my 40s here, and there is one thing that I have learned about men is this. The way they treat someone they don't like or are interested in for any reason. That's it. That's the real guy. That's how he is going to be towards you the moment he thinks you are inconvenient, and I am not going to tell you to break up, but think about this. What if the comment was not directed to your brother, but to your child? Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay with him saying, well, my nieces are normal unlike your idiot son? 26 female, don't know how to tell my fiancé 26 male his family is a problem. How do I start the conversation? My fiancé and I come from very different backgrounds. Me and my sister were raised by our mom and grandparents. My mom was an only child. Our dad wasn't in the picture. My fiancé and his 5 siblings were raised by both his parents. They grew up surrounded by both sets of grandparents, aunts, uncles and a boatload of cousins. His family is close-knit. They're involved in one another's lives, have regular meet-ups, family dinners and parties. They talk often, are supportive of one another, and generally never go a day without at least talking to someone in the family. My fiancé's closest circle of friends are his siblings and cousins. When we got serious about each other, he told me his family was important to him and a big part of his life. My family is important to me. They're also a big part of my life, so it seemed a good sign that we have that in common. I realized quickly that there are degrees to that, and my family are not as involved as his. I talk to my sister once or twice a month. We don't talk often, but we are close. It's just that we have our own, separate lives. We love our mom and our grandparents, but even visits with them are rare. I speak to my mom maybe once a week and usually get updates from her on my grandparents. This was my normal before meeting my fiancé. We've been together nearly 3 years. Holidays are usually a few hours spent with my mom and grandparents before heading to his family. Every holiday with his family is an event. Lots of people, lots of food, lots of kids running in and around everywhere. I know he finds any time spent with my family as underwhelming as I find his family overwhelming. He never complains though. He treats my mom and my grandparents with respect and they love him. But this year he has invited my family to spend Thanksgiving with his. I know they will welcome my family with open arms and show them kindness and respect, but I worry it may be too much for my family. My mom is already stressing about what dish to take even after my boyfriend told her not to bring anything, what to wear. She's preparing talking points. She'll a nervous wreck and worrying they won't like her. I found out yesterday that my sister is bringing her boyfriend. I can only think that's for moral support. My grandma is looking forward to it and my granddad isn't worried at all. I'm worried. It's not their first meeting, but it is the first combined holiday. With everyone in one place, I know the wedding will come up. Here's the problem. I've been vocal to my own family about what I want for my wedding. I haven't had a chance to talk to my fiancé about it all. It'll take some convincing to get him to agree, and I know he's not going to take it well. I desire a small wedding. 50 people max. He has over 30 first cousins. A lot of them have kids and I want a child-free wedding. I don't want a big wedding party, but my fiancé is going to want at least 4 people standing up with him. He wants heavy involvement from his family and they're expecting to be involved. That's just the wedding. I know that they'll be a big presence in our lives after the wedding, and in the lives of the children we have. How do I even address these concerns with my fiancé? Well, to start, you don't tell him his family is a problem. Because they aren't. You need to do some soul searching on why you feel entitled to exclude people he cares about from your wedding. I think it's perfectly appropriate to work with your fiancé to develop a guest list that you're both comfortable with, but it seems very unreasonable for you to expect a total wedding guest list that's smaller than the size of his direct family. Wanting a child-free wedding is a perfectly fine desire, but it's something that you and your partner need to agree to, not something for you to unilaterally decide. Basically, I want to heavily caution you against thinking you can or should make unilateral decisions about this wedding, because it isn't just your wedding, it's his too. His family isn't the problem and it's his wedding too. Why would his family not be allowed to participate? How do you expect to be married to him without his family being involved? If you bring it up, you should bring it up as your concern, because this is your issue, not his or his family's. I get it. I'm brown. I have a million relatives and every holiday or wedding is a huge scene and deal. They can be a lot. But his family sounds really nice and accommodating. Maybe they're a bit much for you because you aren't used to such often and close interaction. Your idea of a wedding is the opposite of his. You will need to compromise. I don't think a small wedding is feasible, honestly. He has a lot of important people in his life. Your family is grown. They can handle themselves. But dude, don't marry a family-involved guy and then get miffed about it. It's probably going to get worse after y'all marry. I think you have a lot of reflecting to do. If you don't want to marry into the Mishigas of the Mishpasha, the time to end it has long passed. The fact that they want to include your family is lovely. It's not an audition or a test. They want you all to be together for the holiday. As for your wedding, that first vision is probably not going to happen. So be prepared to discuss with your fiancé what makes sense for both of you. A wedding is a blending of families, not a coronation. If the wedding is more important than pleasing your new family, you're really in the wrong place with the wrong people. They're not a problem at all, and isn't this his wedding, too? I bet you weren't expecting to hear that everyone thinks you're the problem? Didn't occur to you. That's a really big problem. You have created a wedding and life in your imagination that greatly limits his family time. His family sounds amazing. You must have thought that if you were truthful with him about your feelings that he might reconsider. You spoke with your family, on one of rare occasions when you speak, and not him about your wedding to him. You should tell him how you feel because he deserves to know, but you cannot design a life or wedding unilaterally. You two don't seem compatible and it's so unfair that he has no idea how you truly feel. What to make of my 44 male wife's 37 female relationship with Bill 30 male. My 42M wife 37F has been odd recently. She has in the past received inappropriate messages from Bill, and after arguing about that a year ago, the issue has reappeared, perhaps in a new way. A few weeks ago he bought our children some useful gifts, which was nice. My wife sent me the list as an Amazon thumbnail and said she told him not to in the future. 2 weeks ago we were at a family dinner and he was showing a picture on his phone I couldn't see. He said to my wife that she should also do XXX like he told her so that she can be his XXX. It was very loud where we were and I didn't understand clearly the words that I used XXX for. I was seeing this in my periphery and hearing and pretended not to notice. Immediately after he said it, my wife was affectionate, holding my hand and putting her head on my shoulder, out of the blue. This is not normal behavior for her. Last week on Monday, I saw a package that was for Bill to pick up. Tuesday morning, when I left for work it wasn't there. Tuesday night, I came home and casually asked my wife when Bill or Sil were picking up their packages. She said there were none and he picked them up on Sunday. Bill came solo. I found this odd and went back downstairs to look again, no package. She finished putting on her makeup for working a quick shift and was affectionate after she was done, insisted on holding my hand, etc. Wednesday morning as I was leaving for work, the package was back. So right now, all I know is my wife is lying about something, but I don't know what or why. The other thing that goes with what I mentioned at the outset is, after the package mysteriously went through a portal in time, I checked her phone messages with Bill and they were all gone, even anything about the gifts. So either she's deleting the messages and I can't see them or she's seeing him in person and talking. What do you do with a person who lies whenever you confront them with evidence and facts and says I'm making up stuff in my head? Check the deleted folder for messages. Random bouts of unusual affection and she's hiding things doesn't necessarily mean it's infidelity, but she's definitely not telling you something. Realistically, your best bet is to talk to her about this. She'll gaslight you, but if she's up to something then it will cause her behaviors to change in a very noticeable way, hiding her phone, changing passwords, picking up extra shifts. If she's not up to something then she'll make effort to prove that she isn't. The thing is, if you suspect something and want to catch her out then you can't be obvious about checking her behaviors. You have to stay calm and collected, otherwise she'll learn to hide whatever she's doing better. Definitely tell her how you feel. XXX, could it be gym partner, or some other hobby? Is your birthday coming up soon? Trying to think of innocent explanations before defaulting to Reddit-style calls for divorce. Check her deleted messages folder. Check the phone bill records to see what numbers she is texting and calling, and it will also show the dates. Next package that shows up, open it yourself and then show it to her. Tell her you need her to take a polygraph test as things are not adding up and someone is lying. Message brother-in-law and let him know you're having a conversation with his wife and you have proof of everything, then go silent with him. Definitely suspicious. I would confront your wife and tell her straight up how you feel. Watch how she reacts for any weird behavior. Also, time to open up one of those packages and see what it is. Check her phone too for deleted messages. Update me.